Let me make this real simple. This country is collapsing, and you're the one paying for it. Your dollar's worth 24% less than it was just 5 years ago. 70% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck, and that includes people making six figures. Household debt just hit $17.7 trillion. Car repossessions are skyrocketing, up 26% year over year. The middle class is now a minority in 90% of U.S. metro areas, and 60% of young adults say they don't think they'll ever own a home. You feel it. Every grocery run, every rent payment, every medical bill, every time your paycheck vanishes the second it hits the bank. And while your world gets smaller, the elites are buying bunkers, flying private, and profiting off your collapse. You're not crazy. You're being crushed. This isn't mismanagement. It's engineered decline. And we're about to walk through every piece of it. Food stamps are the new middle class. The grocery store has become the battlefield of the American economy. And I don't mean the food deserts in inner cities. I mean middle-class neighborhoods, suburbs, even the good parts of town. You want to know how cooked we are? Over 42 million Americans are on food stamps right now. That's more than the population of Canada. And here's the kicker. A growing number of those recipients are not unemployed. They have jobs, multiple jobs. They're educators, retail workers, nurses' aides, even military families. Yes, people who literally work for the U.S. government, now relying on EBT cards to feed their kids. What kind of empire pays soldiers poverty wages while burning $886 billion on defense? And the food stamp budgets themselves are getting slashed while inflation eats away at what little they're worth. SNAP benefits were cut in 2023. 30 million Americans lost emergency allotments. People went from $281 a month for food to $23. That's not a reduction. That's a punch in the mouth. And while that's happening, have you seen the price of basics? A loaf of bread is $4.29, a dozen eggs, $5, milk, $6. People are standing in line at food banks, working people. And don't think it's just the big cities. This is happening in places like Boise, Wichita, Louisville, places that used to be cheap. Now they're not, and wages haven't caught up. This country is so upside down that DoorDash is running a promo where you can use food stamps to get fast food delivered. You heard that right. The government is subsidizing McDonald's and Taco Bell because eating garbage is more accessible than cooking a real meal. So when you wonder why your neighbors are getting more and more quiet, why people snap over little things, why your coworkers started reselling granola bars on the side, it's not because they're lazy or crazy. It's because we've entered a new phase of decline, where work doesn't feed you, where welfare isn't enough, and where dinner is a luxury. You are not imagining it. America is starving, and it's happening with a smile and a slogan about economic resilience. The suburbs are the new slums. If you think the American dream still lives in the suburbs, I've got news for you. It packed up and left around 2015, maybe earlier. These once idyllic neighborhoods with picket fences and neatly trimmed lawns, they're turning into modern-day ruins. Drive through Phoenix, Charlotte, Orlando, or Sacramento right now. You'll see miles of identical homes with paper-thin walls, crumbling HOA fences, and driveways packed with 4 or 5 cars. Not because everyone's successful, but because everyone's stuck. Multi-family living is the new norm, and we're not talking about the cultural kind. This is economic desperation. Mom and dad, grown kids, grandma, cousins, everyone stuffed into a 3-bed, 2-bath vinyl box built in 2003 and valued at 4 times what anyone inside could actually afford. The new American suburb is a quiet crisis, one HOA violation away from collapse. And while the mortgages balloon, the services vanish. Public schools are overcrowded. Teachers are quitting en masse. 300,000 left the profession since 2020. Local police, underfunded, trash collection, delayed, public transit, non-existent. It's like living in a ghost town with Amazon Prime. And then there's the landlords. Because guess who owns half these homes now? BlackRock, Invitation Homes, Vanguard, Wall Street. In some suburbs, up to 30% of homes are investor-owned, and they're charging insane rents for properties they don't maintain. Mold, broken HVAC, electrical hazards reported by the thousands. Try to complain, and you'll be evicted by a faceless LLC that doesn't even have a working phone number. And while you're at it, try finding a new place that doesn't want 3x the rent in income, 700 plus credit, and first, last, deposit. You'll be sleeping in your SUV faster than you can say rising interest rates. The suburbs used to be where Americans escaped poverty. Now, they are poverty, camouflaged in beige paint and Ring doorbells. Nobody waves anymore. Nobody knows their neighbors. Half the homes are short-term rentals. The other half are teetering on foreclosure. So no, you're not imagining it. Your neighborhood is falling apart. And it's not because people stopped caring. It's because the system that held it together, affordable mortgages, community jobs, public trust, has been quietly disassembled. Suburbia is a sinking ship, and the lifeboats are already full. The rich have stolen time itself. Forget money, forget land, forget gold. The most valuable commodity in America today is time. And guess who owns it? The top 1%. You, on the other hand, get to lease your time back from them in weekly increments at 15-minute intervals, with unpaid lunch breaks and no overtime. You are a tenant of your own life. Think about it. Every minute you spend driving to work, clocking in, commuting home, figuring out dinner, and scrolling through job postings just in case you get laid off, it's all borrowed time. Borrowed from billionaires who control the apps, the algorithms, the leases, the utilities, and the food supply. The American worker has become a hamster on a subscription wheel. A Pew Research study from 2024 showed that 61% of full-time workers feel they do not have enough time in the day to complete necessary tasks. And that's just the employed. Add kids, debt, errands, and aging parents, you're living in a time famine. And you know it. You feel it every day when you try to relax and your brain won't let you. You try to sleep, and your mind is calculating whether your savings will survive one emergency. Your rest is rented, your peace is leased. But here's where it gets sinister. Because while you're running on this treadmill, billionaires are buying time, buying years. They're on wait lists for anti-aging biotech. They're freezing their DNA, uploading their minds, flying to Switzerland for $200,000 stem cell infusions. They're not just hoarding wealth, they're hoarding tomorrow. Meanwhile, the average American lifespan has gone down, for the first time in a century. Life expectancy dropped to 76.4 years, thanks to drugs, stress, poverty, and a healthcare system that charges $3,000 for a hospital visit with no treatment. So let's call this what it is, a class war fought on the axis of time. The rich are getting more of it. Everyone else is watching the clock run out. You're not imagining it. You're getting older, faster, more exhausted, and less alive. And no one is coming to give you your time back. The collapse is now. Boring. You want to know the most terrifying thing about the fall of America? It's not violent, it's not flashy, it's not even newsworthy anymore. It's boring. And that's how you know it's real. The collapse is no longer some hypothetical future. It's been normalized into daily life, degraded slowly until you stop noticing. A new study from the Gallup 2025 report found that 73% of Americans now believe their children will be worse off than they are. That's the highest number ever recorded. In fact, pessimism about the future has become the new patriotism, the only thing we all agree on. And yet, nobody's rioting. Nobody's storming the Fed. You know what people are doing? Nothing. Because collapse in the 21st century doesn't look like war. It looks like delay. Closed lanes on the highway. 4-month wait times for a doctor. Packages arriving broken. Public bathrooms locked. Schools banning books because no one can afford new ones. Student loans you'll never repay. College degrees that don't matter. Staring at a pothole for 4 years and realizing it's never going to be fixed. Collapse is quiet now. It's rust. It's bureaucracy. It's a help desk that never picks up. It's 17 tabs open and no way out. And the scariest part? We've adapted to it. We've started to call it the new normal. We joke about it. We meme it. We go numb to it. And that's by design. Because a broken system doesn't want revolution. It wants sedation. It wants you so busy juggling your bills, apps, subscriptions, and side hustles that you forget this wasn't how it used to be. You weren't supposed to pay $120 for a phone plan and still get spammed 17 times a day. You weren't supposed to wait 9 hours in the ER and walk out with a $9,000 bill and no answers. You weren't supposed to work until you die, but here we are. You're not imagining it. The water's rising, and they convinced you it was just a rainy season. This is the age of managed decline. A nation run by consultants. And the worst part? Most people won't notice until the lights go out and don't come back on. America's infrastructure is so broken, it's killing us. You ever drive over a bridge and wonder if it's going to collapse? Because that's not paranoia anymore. That's just living in America. We are quite literally commuting over rusted-out skeletons and rotting tunnels every single day. And if you're in places like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Louisiana, or California, you're not just imagining the cracks, the leaks, the sagging guardrails. Those aren't just cosmetic flaws. That's decades of neglect waiting to snap. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, 43,000 bridges in the U.S. are in poor condition. That's not a typo. 43,000. And while Congress argues about pronouns, regular Americans are driving their kids over crumbling concrete that hasn't been maintained since the 1960s. And the worst part? We already paid to fix it. The infrastructure bills keep getting passed, billions of dollars. But somehow nothing actually gets repaired. You ever wonder where that money went? Consultants, delays, kickbacks, feasibility studies, environmental reviews, bureaucratic Meanwhile, the water's still toxic in Flint. In Jackson, Mississippi, people still can't trust their taps. In Maui, the emergency sirens didn't work. In East Palestine, Ohio, the train derailed. The air caught fire. And guess what? Everyone just moved on. FEMA barely showed. Biden didn't even visit. You want to talk about collapse? How about the fact that train derailments happen in the U.S. over 1,000 times per year? That's more than 2 per day. But you don't hear about it because unless someone dies or there's a mushroom cloud, it's not a story. And God forbid you live in a rural area. Because if you call 911 and your house is on fire, it might take 30 minutes for help to arrive. You're on your own. So no, you're not imagining the potholes getting deeper, the streetlights going out, the Wi-Fi cutting out, the tap water smelling like chlorine. That's not bad luck. That's not one bad mayor. That's the slow death of an empire too corrupt to maintain itself. Rome didn't fall overnight. First, the aqueducts dried up. Then the roads crumbled. Then came the collapse. We're already in phase 2. And if you're not scared yet, wait until the power grid blinks off during a heat wave and no one picks up the phone. The American healthcare system is a death trap with Wi-Fi. Getting sick in America is a financial event. You don't go to the doctor anymore. You roll the dice in a rigged casino. And if you lose, you don't just die, you go bankrupt first. You think that's exaggeration? More than 66% of bankruptcies in the U.S. are tied to medical debt. And here's the thing, 80% of those people had insurance. So what exactly are we even paying for? I'll tell you what, a system where your deductible is $7,500, your copay is $60, and your doctor visit is 9 minutes long with a guy who's burned out, overbooked, and reading off a screen. Welcome to healthcare. Want a specialist? That'll be 6 months. Want a prescription filled? Hope you like prior authorizations, denials, $600 copays, and CVS clerks whispering the price like it's a funeral. And if you need surgery? Congratulations! Your insurance just billed you $87,000 for facility fees and an $11 aspirin. But hey, you can check the bill from your phone. Modern technology. You ever try to cancel a health insurance plan in America? It's like breaking up with the mob. No one answers. You get passed around to 12 departments. You get billed for months after. And don't even think about being uninsured. Even one ER visit can follow you for years, destroying your credit, garnishing your wages, and pushing you into GoFundMe mode, which, by the way, is now the largest medical insurer in America. Over 250,000 Americans a year use GoFundMe to beg for life-saving care. And we just act like that's normal. That's the part that really breaks you. You see people online every day. My mom has stage 4 cancer. She worked 40 years as a nurse. Can you help? And then you see billionaires flying to Dubai for full-body scans, cryo chambers, and private surgeons who never touch a clipboard. The gap is astronomical. It's disgusting. This isn't healthcare. It's a game of survival. If you're lucky, you get patched up. If you're poor, you get painkillers and a pamphlet. You're not imagining it. America's best healthcare in the world is a rotting husk with a PR team. And it's killing us slowly, one denied claim at a time. Our kids are being raised by screens, pills, and panic attacks. We need to talk about the next generation, because if you think things are bad now, wait until you see what comes after us. The kids aren't all right. In fact, they're broken in ways we've never seen before in American history. Let's start with this. According to the CDC's latest report, over 57% of teen girls in America said they felt persistently sad or hopeless in the past year. That's not a blip. That's a scream. Boys, 29% reported the same, still staggeringly high. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death for people aged 10 to 24. And what do we do about it? We shove them pills, antidepressants, ADHD meds, mood stabilizers, millions of prescriptions doled out like candy. Meanwhile, the average American teen spends 7 to 9 hours a day on screens. TikTok, YouTube, Discord, Snapchat, games, porn. You think we're raising kids? No. We're feeding them into an algorithm that trains their brains to crave outrage, dopamine, and endless scrolling. No attention span, no sleep, no self-esteem. You want a future? This is your future. A nation of anxious, sleep-deprived, medicated children raised on propaganda and microtransactions. And that's just the mental side. Obesity rates in American youth? Highest ever recorded. More than 1 in 5 kids is obese. Type 2 diabetes used to be an adult disease. Now it's being diagnosed in 10-year-olds. And school? Don't even get me started. Test scores are crashing. Post-pandemic learning loss is so severe that some kids are graduating who can barely read. Teachers are quitting by the tens of thousands. Burnt out, underpaid, disrespected. And when kids do speak up, we punish them or diagnose them instead of actually listening. We don't ask why they're scared. We ask what app they were using. It's all performative. It's all collapsing. And the worst part? The people in charge keep saying we're building resilience. That's their excuse. Meanwhile, kids are self-harming in middle school bathrooms. You're not imagining it. The next generation is being sacrificed on the altar of convenience, neglect, and digital addiction. And when they grow up angry, confused, and broken, don't you dare ask what went wrong. We already know. Retirement is dead and we're just not telling the boomers yet. Retirement, as an American concept, is already dead. We're just propping up the corpse and hoping no one notices until after the next election cycle. For decades, we were sold a lie. Work hard, save your money, invest in a 401k, and one day you'll live on a golf course in Arizona. What we actually got is this. 47% of people aged 55 to 65 have zero retirement savings. That's not an exaggeration. That's not less than expected. That's zero, not a penny. And even among those who do have a nest egg, the median amount is around $88,000. You think that's going to last someone 25 years? In this economy, with this inflation? Social Security is already buckling. The trust fund is projected to run out by 2033. And when that happens, benefits are expected to drop by 23% overnight. And Medicare? It's being hollowed out like a pumpkin. The only difference is the bills don't stop at Halloween. So what's the solution? Gig work, side hustles, DoorDash in your 60s, greeter, jobs at Walmart, Uber shifts in the dead of winter, selling handmade jewelry on Etsy just to afford your blood pressure meds. This isn't retirement, this is indentured survival. And you want to know the punchline? A growing number of young people, Gen Z and millennials, already know they'll never retire. Over 60% of millennials say they expect to work until they die. And they're not wrong. The cost of living keeps rising. The housing market's a joke. Savings rates are negative. And the Fed's strategy to cool inflation is to kill your job and tank your 401k. Great plan, guys. We spent 70 years building an economy on the promise of rest after labor. And then we pulled the rug. You're not imagining it. Retirement isn't slipping away. It's already gone. We are living in a post-retirement America. And most people won't realize it until they're too old, too sick, and too broke to do anything but keep working until the day their body says, no more. Democracy has been replaced by customer service. Let's cut the crap. America doesn't run on democracy anymore. It runs on optics, algorithms, and call centers. Voting feels about as impactful as unsubscribing from an email list. You can click the box, you can scream into the void, but nobody's really listening because the people in charge, they don't govern, they manage, and what they're managing is your outrage. Every single major political party in this country now operates like a brand, a streaming service, a lifestyle choice. You don't vote for policy, you vote for vibes. You pick a color, a hashtag, a hoodie, and then you watch your representative do the exact opposite of what they promised while smiling for TikTok. Congress has a 21% approval rating right now, but 95% of incumbents get re-elected. How does that make sense? It doesn't, because your vote isn't power. It's a data point. Your voice isn't heard. It's harvested. Want proof? Look at how laws are passed. They're not debated anymore. They're bundled. Thousands of pages. Last minute. No one reads them. Lobbyists write them. Corporations fund them. And the people affected? Left on hold. Have you ever tried to call your senator's office? Ever tried to report fraud, abuse, corruption? You'll get voicemail. You'll get transferred. You'll get a cheerful intern asking if you'd like to sign up for the newsletter. That's what democracy is now. A queue, a help ticket, a bot that says, thanks for your feedback. Meanwhile, billionaires get VIP access to the actual levers of power. Defense contractors get $900 billion for war, but your town can't get a new playground without 6 years of paperwork. They'll audit you over a $600 Venmo, but they won't prosecute one banker for laundering cartel money. You're not imagining it. The Republic is on autopilot. The simulation is breaking down. And all they want you to do is stay subscribed, stay distracted, and pretend that pressing a button every 4 years still means something. But deep down, you already know it doesn't. This isn't government. It's governance theater. And it's becoming harder and harder to ignore the stage lights burning through the cracks. You're being conditioned to give up. Let's end with the ugliest truth of all. The truth they'll never say on cable or in school or on the campaign trail. Because it's not a policy. It's not a conspiracy. It's not even a mistake. It's a strategy. And it's working. You are being trained to give up. Not in a dramatic, revolution in the streets way. No. In a quiet, day-by-day surrender. In little moments. When the rent goes up, but you stay anyway. When your car breaks down and you finance a worse one. When your insurance drops you, your job lays you off, your savings run dry, and you just keep scrolling. Because what else are you supposed to do? You already know you can't afford to move. You can't afford to fight. You can't even afford to be sick. So you settle. You downsize. You laugh it off. You cope. And that's exactly what they want. Because the more you get used to surviving instead of living, the easier it is to control you. And it's not just economic. It's spiritual. It's emotional. It's engineered. Look around. Everything about modern life is designed to wear you down. 12-hour workdays, 60-minute commutes, 40-page terms of service, grocery stores with 37 brands of toothpaste and no butter. There's no center anymore, no sense of trust, no shared reality. And the result, you second-guess yourself. You feel crazy. You think you're the problem, but you're not. This system is designed to make you exhausted, distracted, and hopeless. It's not broken. It's working, just not for you. And every day you stay in it, every time you swallow the next inconvenience, every time you whisper, it is what it is. You're doing exactly what they trained you to do. Comply. You're not imagining it. You were born into a collapsing empire, and they taught you that asking questions was dangerous, that fighting back was impossible. But the scariest part? Most people won't even notice until there's nothing left to lose. And by then, the conditioning will be complete. The cage door will stay open, because no one will try to leave. So if everything feels like it's falling apart, if your rent just doubled, your doctor won't call back, your paycheck disappears in 3 days, and you're wondering why the hell you feel so tired all the time, it's not you, it's America. And it's not headed for collapse. It's already in it. You're just one of the few who can see it. The truth is, they don't want you angry. They want you exhausted, scrolling, coping, shrinking, taught to survive, never to fight. But if you feel it, If something deep in your gut knows this is not how it's supposed to be, you're not broken. You're just awake. Now, the only question is, what are you going to do with that clarity? Because pretending this is normal won't save you, and no one's coming to fix it. This country was built by people who said, enough. So when you're ready, we'll be right here, counting down what's left, exposing the rot, and reminding you that you're not alone in this. Not by a long shot. Stay sharp, stay loud, and don't you dare go back to sleep.